known as Just Maria D. I'm vlogging 3 days a week on this channel. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, otherwise known as TTS. I'm here with Bella. Joey's in the background. Hopefully he's going to remain kind of quiet. As quiet as an 11-year-old can be. And I thought that I'd have a bit of a chat today, given that it's January is ticking away, about how I do goals and resolutions in the new year. So for me, I found that goals and resolutions weren't working very well for me, really. And I had gotten to the point in my life where I'd just given up making them. And I think that's because I had 5 young children, and I found that life in that kind of environment, for me personally, didn't lend itself very well to goals, because I kind of facilitated most of life for everybody. But on top of that, when you've got children, life is unpredictable. You know, they can get sick, they can have accidents. Last year, Joey damaged his eye, and we were in and out of the eye hospital with that for a little while there. And, you know, life kind of has these things that happen to you. And I find that goals and resolutions can sometimes be inflexible in regards to life. I remember another year I ruptured my Achilles, which meant I was on crutches for at least 6 months of that year. And, you know, if I had set the resolution that I wanted to jog 3 times a week, I'd have been really screwed for that 6 months of that year. They were too hard and fast for me, really. So a friend of mine about, at least 5 or 6 years ago, introduced me to the concept of choosing a word for the year. And I really like this idea because I found that it gave me some structure and a framework to my year without, in the month of January, deciding exactly how that was going to look for me. So for instance, last year, and I'm just pulling it out because I wrote it down today. I went back and watched the video. I chose a Hebrew word. It was spelled C-H-A-Y-A-Y. And when I got on the internet to have a look at the pronunciation, it's kind of like Haya or Hayai, something like that. But like I said, I'm no Hebrew scholar. But the reason why I chose that word is because I wanted something to do with life and living, but I thought just to live didn't have the depth that I required from a word, and so this word did. And what it meant was to have life, to sustain life, to live prosperously, and to be restored to life. And I chose that word last year because it came off the back of our renovation that we had done the year before, where our whole life was about this renovation. Kind of started officially in June, but we were doing things in the back garden, like we pulled down part of the building ourselves, and you know, we were with planners and sourcing things, you know, for almost a year really. So while we're very grateful for the fact that we did do it and we went through that time, like it was a year out of our life where we were very committed to that project. And I felt like I'd had the life sucked out of me, essentially. So last year, I chose that word and the associated richer meanings of it. I felt that did start to happen last year without setting down at the beginning of the year how I wanted it to happen. Just having that underlying goal of wanting to live life more meant that I was making choices in line with that, rather than will do this, I will do that. It was more of a meditative thing, a reflective thing, an accountability thing that I could ask myself, so Maria, are you living life when you make that choice? Is your soul prospering when you make that choice? Do you feel that your heart is coming back to life and you are becoming rejuvenated when you do that thing, or are you not? And so I found that it was a really good way of holding myself accountable to things in my life without actually having hard, fast, inflexible goals. Which brings us to 2018. What is my word for the year, Bella, for 2018? Do you know?
Have you got a clue?
My word for 2018 is purposeful. Originally it was going to be deliberate, but it felt harsh. Deliberate felt harsh. And I like words to have a bit of gentility to them, a bit of grace to them, I think. I'm not going to beat myself up. I want to be flexible. I want to be graceful. I want to be kind to myself in these things. So purposeful seemed like a kinder way of expressing what I wanted. So how are some ways that I see purposeful making a bit of a difference in my life this year? Well, there are probably some key areas that I want to be purposeful in, but without setting hard and fast goals with that as well. So I understand that some people like that, and some people want to achieve particular things, and so the way to do that is to have hard and fast goals. I don't want to achieve particular things. Like I don't want to run a marathon. I might one day, but I don't at the moment. So for me to say I'm gonna train to run a marathon when that is not actually the desire of my heart, then that's just silly. I'm far better to have a look at the things that I can do and that are manageable for me. So things that I want to give some time to purposefully this year is my health. I'd like to lose some weight. I would like to make sure that my soul health and my spirit health and my mental health and my emotional health is looked after. I'd like to move more, perhaps try some yoga, something that's kind to myself, I think, is but with the purpose of being healthier. Relationships are something that I'd like to be more purposeful in, you know, both in my household, so with my husband and with my children. I want to just have that underlying sense that there's a purpose to what we do. I read a great book last year called Frientimacy by a lady called Shasta Nelson. Now, that book probably set me on a bit of a course in terms of wanting to be more purposeful with my relationships. Shasta has a very organized, structured way of approaching friendships and relationships, and it's probably slightly too structured for me, but I really appreciated a lot of the things within that book. And I'm gonna redo that book this year and take away some of the more purposeful things that Shasta talks about. And a lot of that was really to do with my own perceptions of what friendship and female relationships are. And well, not just female, they can be male too, but she kind of, you know, focuses on the relationships between women in terms of friendship, and you know how much I was backing off from things because of my own insecurities and my own anxiousness. And then actually, you know, she spends a lot of time talking about how really as women, more often than not, we're all feeling the same thing. You know, that we're all concerned that we're not going to be liked, or that we're not going to be good enough, or that people won't want to spend time with us, or if somebody says no to us, it's because of a negative thing rather than just because perhaps they can't make it or they've got something going on in their lives. And you know, we tend to take things very personally, and so I found her book was really great for working through some of those things and be more purposeful about my friendships with people as well. The other main one that I would like to be purposeful about is, Brené Brown says loads of things about owning our own story. So one of the things that Brené Brown says about courage is that courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. I think that is a really meaningful quote for me, that I don't always like showing up. And sometimes that's because I'm dealing with social anxiety. Sometimes that can be because I'm kind of one of those people that if something bad is happening in my life, then it kind of permeates my whole life. So, you know, if I'm having an argument with my husband, then, you know, I feel crap about every other part of my life. Or if, you know, I'm stressed about one of the kids, then, you know, it affects me. So, and I think in the past, what I have done is hidden myself away a little bit, because it's easier to just hide yourself away when you feel like bursting into tears, or when you feel like crap and don't want to have to go through the story with every person that you meet. It's just so much easier to hide away. But I don't want to hide away. I want to be the type of person that shows up and is courageous for showing up, and that I'm seen for who I really am. I want to be more purposeful about that as well. That's something that affects who I am online. It affects my social media. It affects YouTube. It affects blogging. You know, it affects who I am as a friend, who I am as a wife, who I am as a mother, who I am as a daughter. To have the courage to show up and be seen for who I really am. So yeah. So I think there's some of the main areas that I want to be purposeful about this year, but they're just 3 things that I've chosen to talk about. You know, I want to be purposeful in my life in general. I want that word to underlie the choices that I make this year, the things that I'm thinking about, the ways that I spend my time, the things that I do about my house, the people that I talk to. That doesn't mean to say that I won't make room for the serendipitous times and those incidental, like of course we need to welcome those into our lives as well, but always coming back to that word and the framework that it's providing, the framework that it's providing for the year and how I want to live and spend my time. So anyway, how about you? If you had to choose a word for your year, what would you choose? Would you find it hard to just choose one word? Would you find it easy to narrow it down? Do you have any interest in doing that? How does that make you feel, the idea of having a word for your year? So yeah, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. So I've been Maria and you've been awesome, and I will catch you on Sunday because it's TTS. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. All right, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.